What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Says. I am your host, as always, Garrett Williams. Tonight, I'm joined by two special gentlemen with me tonight. Kyle Henning at the top right of the screen. How are we doing tonight, Kyle?
Doing well. Had a long weekend. Little brother got married, so been doing that all weekend and got done with all that just in time to watch the Chiefs drop kick the Raiders out of the stadium. So it was good. It was a good weekend.
Heck yeah. Also joining us, Randy Ellenberger. How you doing tonight, Randy?
Doing awesome, man. I am doing awesome. It's good to be back on. Just enjoying the grind of everyday life up here up north as it gets a little bit colder, and our playoff season starts tomorrow night. So we're always busy and let the fun times keep rolling, man.
Yeah, high school football in full swing, college football in full swing, and then obviously we're in the thick of it with the NFL. The Chiefs are just playing some of the best football we've ever seen. Like Kyle said,
Finally,
shutting out the Raiders 31-0 at home in Arrowhead at a classic noon o'clock kickoff time. That was a little fun thing to experience once again, a noon kickoff. We haven't had many of those. I think that was actually the first one this year. You don't really get that too often with the Chiefs anymore. So that was fun. Just a really good performance on both sides of the ball. You could even say historic from the defensive side, holding them to only 30 total plays, which is the second lowest ever, I think, in NFL history since way in the 90s or something. I saw a stat for. So,
Well, the worst one was the Browns on their first ever game in the 90s, in
Right.
99. But I think it even goes back to like the 70s.
yeah, and they only had one or two more plays than the Browns did, and that's theoretically, if the Chiefs were trying in the fourth quarter, they probably would have had even less than that in amount of offensive plays from the Raiders. So, really good performance, blowout, shutout, whatever you want to say. The first one in the regular season for Andy Reid, which was cool. They've had one in the playoffs, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just solid performance, and we're gonna break it all down. The return of Rashee Rice coming back to the offense and just reinvigorating and adding a whole new level to the offense that I think we all saw coming. But just the fact that we're finally getting it now, finally the reunion or the unification, you could say, of Hollywood, Xavier Worthy, and Rashee Rice all getting to play on the same field at the same time. It's just great. It's a great feeling, and yeah, it was just Kyle, what was your overall thought of the game?
So you remember that conversation we had on Friday where we talked about what we hoped and kind of thought it might look like?
Mm-hmm.
It looked like that, almost to a T. There's weapons everywhere. That's the most effective that Andy's screen game has looked in 3 seasons. We're back to doing that screen game, and a lot of it is off of Brashard Smith and what he provides in that role and the ability to do that. But also the screen game with Rashee outside, it just works at a different level with him because he's so big and so strong that the yak and everything he can generate, they can attack every single level of the defense, and that includes throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, but they can also go intermediate. I don't think Rashee had a single target more than 10 yards downfield. Meanwhile, you've still got Tyquan Thornton catching 40-yard passes while sitting on his ass, running backwards, trying to catch up or trying to catch it without overrunning it. They Worthy from the end around perspective and the post and 9 route. They have the ability to threaten you everywhere. And if he keeps getting blocking, like he's getting blocking even from guys that aren't the starters, the rest of the league is in deep trouble. Because this offense feels a lot like it did in 22 or even in 18 when it was like, well, we're going to have to score with them because we aren't going to stop them. Matt Ariza may get really bored going forward, and I'm more than fine with that.
Yeah, it was really solid. Randy, how would you rate the offense's performance?
it was just like, it was nice to sit and just watch and be able to breathe at a normal rate,
Mm-hmm.
and not sit there and with bated breath. You just holding your breath, okay, who's gonna get? No, is he gonna get hurt? No, yeah. But it was it was legit, just nice to watch everything just finally fall into place. Like Rashee coming back was awesome. It was great to finally see those our three top wideouts healthy and on the field at the same time, which we have all been waiting a very long time for. It was also nice to see a legit, like even in the first half, like a legit attempt at running the football.
Oh yeah,
some kind of balance to keep guys like Max Crosby before he got hurt, from just straight pass rush all the time, which is why he's just an absolute terror against us. I mean, for some odd reason, Juwan seems to play really well against Max Crosby, but it was just nice to have that balance to keep the defensive line off of, off their, their hunt for Patrick, coming after him all the time. So, watching Smith come in and run the ball well, Isaiah, he pop ran hard. Kareem got a little ding there at one little point, but we kind of have that three-headed situational monster back there now in the backfield, and Travis was wide open in all the spots he wanted to be now, because you can't just key on Travis because hey, everyone's back. So it was fun to watch a game that we were in total control of start to finish, and it just seemed like everything worked like we've all been hoping and expecting it to for a while. So
exactly, this is the whole game plan. When they first tried to redo this wide receiver room and give Pat more help and just kind of reinvent the offense, and now it's come to fruition. Yeah, it's like the comfortability first and foremost up front with the offensive line playing really good, both in the pass blocking game and also the run blocking. I mean, that doesn't get talked about as much. I mean, usually the offensive line the past couple of years has been probably better at run blocking than pass blocking. Now you have a little bit more of a balance that Pat's more comfortable back there, but having the run blocking improve substantially as well with Kingsley now up in the middle. Like, he's been doing really good in the run game. Jalen Moore is a suitable, a serviceable backup that's playing really well. I mean, I didn't even think about Jalen Moore on Sunday. Like, that's how replied. Like, it's just it's a plug and play situation with him, and it's just overall. I mean, when the offensive line is rolling, that's all when kind of the offense is really clicking, and it's paying dividends for both Pat and the receiving game, but also I think Pacheco is now. He's kind of looking back like the old Pacheco a little bit. He's hitting holes. He's running hard. Like, he's just barreling through dudes and fighting for extra yardage and stuff like that. And sprinkling in Kareem, it's a good mix. There wasn't as much of that Kareem sprinkle. They were a little bit more leaning on Pacheco this game. But just
they didn't need him.
They didn't need to. And, I mean, you never want to see any of our guys go out, but when Trey did go out and you see Caliendo step in there, like, I'm sure Kyle was right there with me going, son of a, like, really?
Yeah, it wasn't ideal, but
he did not look like the absolute scrub that he looked like last year. Like, he actually – I didn't notice him. After I saw him come in and I have that oh shit moment, I didn't notice him again. So that's fantastic. That was – You couldn't ask for anything more from Mike Caliendo coming in than not hear his name for any reason whatsoever.
Well, I had happened to be not in the room when Trey went out, and so I didn't realize he was out. And then I heard them say Mike Caliendo's name, and he was in the game, and I went, "Wait a minute, what?"
Yep.
Like, wait, what happened? What's going on? And then I started looking.
Came back in.
I kept looking at the jersey number, and I couldn't decide if it was him or Trey at points.
Close, yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, if I can't decide who it is, that's, I guess, not a bad thing, because that means Mike's playing better. Because if I can't decide who it is, that means I can't easily tell that he's getting wrecked. No, like you said, I'm one that's been critical and hard on Mike. He played extremely well in that game when he was asked to come in and do it. And I feel like that's not terribly surprising, because I don't think the issue with him is being the backup or being the replacement. I think the issue is being long-term there, which hopefully Trey is fine and that's not a problem. And that was more of a precautionary, hey, we're belt to assing these dudes. We don't need you. So don't go out and worry about it.
Was like, hey, just don't even just relax the rest of the game. I mean, Xavier Worthy got dinged up. He still went back in because he's a psycho. But I think they were definitely a lot more precautionary with Trey and just saying, hey, you got a little bit of a back thing. You tried to tough it out, go back in there for a couple plays. Let's just relax and rest you for the rest of the game. Caliendo's he's fine. Like
he played well.
Yeah, and obviously a depleted Raiders team. Their D-line was, obviously Max Crosby goes out after a little bit of time, but they were still, they're commanding the offense exactly like how they needed to. Like the whole unit was working so phenomenally together and just creating holes, creating space, moving bodies. Like,
yeah, they did whatever they wanted.
Yeah,
there was not a thing they could not do when they chose to do it. To the point where Patrick is doing State Farm commercials in the middle of the game to get first downs.
Yeah, that's pretty good little. That was a good little trick play that they drew. Apparently, Matt Nagy came up with the idea for that one. And
who? I thought that guy was horrible at everything.
No, he's great. He's going to be the head coach for the Titans next year, Kyle. Remember, we started promoting this early on the pod. We were. I think I was on this before all the reports. I think I was on this before. I tried.
You did. Like 2 weeks ago. Did mention it, but
I was like, "Hey,
legitimately,
Nagy's actually still so funny. Good at his job. He needs another head coaching opportunity."
It's so funny how all of a sudden Andy and Matt are smart again because all of the fucking receivers we've been waiting 18 months for are now finally on the field.
Yeah.
And the offensive line is now healthy and is rolling. And I got to be honest, I know there was a lot of apprehension and concern about the Tooney trade and everything. They were right about Kingsley. They have a guard in Kingsley. The growth and the level of play over this first, I was one of the bigger, he'll be fine. I think he's going to do fine supporters of the move, even though I still thought they screwed him at tackle last year. But I damn sure didn't think it was going to look like this.
Yeah. This is next level.
He's dominating people on the inside. Dominating.
Calling your
run game, pass game,
delivering.
He has been everything they could have ever asked for in somebody stepping into Joe Tooney's spot.
Yeah.
You cannot give that kid enough credit. And now he's done it with 2 different tackles next to him. Because a lot of that stuff is communication based. And that's a credit to Andy Heck, the way that he works this offensive line to where they get used to running with multiple variations of that line, and all of these guys know each other, not just the starters, and they all work and communicate. I may have my issues with his ability to develop tackles, but he is very good at having guys that can play multiple spots and having guys that can play multiple spots while having them all be on the same page, even if not everybody they're used to working with 100% of the time is in there together. And you've seen it now with the little bit of the musical chairs they've played this year at the different spots on the offensive line, and there's been basically no drop-off no matter who they've put in at those positions. So that adjustment from over the last couple years and the return of all of the weapons finally being on the field at this, like you saw it, they could do whatever they wanted. You want to cover Rashee? Okay, well, there goes Hollywood. You want to cover those two? Oh, look, Travis is standing. What is that? Alone? There's no one within 15 yards? Huh. Well, I guess the ball's going there. Where did Xavier go? Oh, there he goes. Like, They did whatever, however, and we said it. That Raiders secondary was going to have a long day. They did.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, even Juju got a few bites of the pie, too. So
Yeah, Noah
and
Gray
Tyquan
had a big catch
and Noah. They had 9 different pass catchers. 9.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, the amount of mouths that you're able to feed still. And I think we talked about it on one of the episodes, but it's kind of a fantasy player's worst nightmare, and
it's
even
awful.
Like a better in the sense that's you already don't know who's going to necessarily pop off and have a big day. There's so many different people that you could just direct your whole offense around. And a lot of the game they were playing.
I did make sure to start Rashee in all the leagues that I had.
That was a good payoff. Yeah, Rashee, his first game back, only had 42 yards, but 7 catches, 2 touchdowns. Like, that's exactly what and most of his catches were like pretty impactful ones, across the middle, the intermediate stuff, like getting first down, getting good pickups. Like, the Chiefs had so many first downs, 30 first downs over the whole game. Like they were
just as
moving the ball.
The Raiders had plays in the entire game.
Exactly. So that was obviously super impressive. Travis just being able to operate with all this newly found no attention on him. You know, as much as you try to draw attention to Trav, there's so many other people. It's like you can't ever just focus solely on Trav anymore. And so he's able to eat more. You know, Xavier Worthy had a kind of a quieter game, but he still had a couple impactful things. Like Juju had some good catches. Hollywood had a couple of catches with a touchdown in there. Like it's whoever's going to step up and do it. It's every single play. It could be someone different. And I'm surprised wasn't even more than 9 pass catchers. They could have had 11, 12, 13 people catch the ball.
I mean, considering they didn't throw the ball in the second half. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, Gardner Minshew played for the entire fourth quarter and didn't have a pass attempt.
No, yeah.
He did not attempt to throw the ball once.
We'll just shut it down, run the clock down, and to be honest, they were still moving the ball when they were just running the ball with Rashard Smith and the back offensive line in there. That was just a phenomenal performance. One that you really, I mean, you know, there's not a lot of notes about it. It's like they just did what they needed to do. They ran under center good. They had play action, and then it was funny on the broadcast. The commentator was like, the only thing that's really not working is like the RPO stuff, which is like, hey, that's kind of what we've been saying this whole time. You know, it's kind of what we've been saying. Like you can sprinkle in the RPOs, but when it's your whole offense, it gets a little tough. So now that they've changed that approach and they're running more normal stuff, and you know the play action is now available to them, and Pat's able to have time to kind of create in the pocket a little bit and let routes develop more. It's exactly what you want to see.
Pat's now moving to create plays, not running to get away from pressure. Mm-hmm. He has so much time. And Travis, you talked about it. It's so much room for activities. There's so much space because they just create so many problems at so many different levels that it's almost impossible to deal with. Like 7 guys had more than 25 yards receiving. The 8th guy had 14 yards receiving and a touchdown. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
They had 286 yards of receiving. The leading receiver on the team had 54 yards.
That's pretty awesome.
Your third leading receiver...
Pick your poison. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Your third leading receiver is your rookie running back. He had the same amount of yards as Rashee did. Because the screen game is just operating for him. And that was I mean, this is a defensive coordinator's worst nightmare. Because who do you cover? Or how do you attack it? Yeah. Like you can sit back and play shell coverage and play and then just hope they make a mistake. But defensive coordinators don't want to coach that way. That's not a recipe for success. Hey, maybe the Hall of Fame head coach and the generational quarterback will screw up once every 7 drives. So then we only give up 42 instead of 50. Like, that's not what defensive coordinators want. But how do you attack it? Because you can't play man. Because nobody in this league has 4 corners that can man up across the board with that much weaponry. Nobody. It just doesn't exist.
And if you play zone.
If you play zone, you're dead. You're dead if you play. If you sit in a zone and let Patrick just wait for things to develop, you're going to suffer because there's nothing you can do about it. So it puts, and the Raiders stink. Okay, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're very bad. However, they did the same thing to Detroit the week before.
Mm-hmm.
And Detroit doesn't stink. Ask Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Tonight. MVP candidate Baker Mayfield had a rough damn day against that same defense that everybody told us, oh, they're injured and they're not very good. Well,
they did.
I hate to break it to you, but they're more injured against the Bucs than they were against us. Now, and they were missing the Brian Branch for his stupid action after our game, and they still got
almost worse, and they still,
So
that's a testament to how this offense is rolling and how they can kind of really get the best of.
They're scary, people. Man.
Yeah,
this is a scary, scary team.
one of the things that impressed me the most is like, when you go through the our possessions in the first half, we finally punched one in. It was the first or second time we've scored a touchdown on our first drive all season.
Yeah,
it's been not frequent. Yeah.
No, I mean, so our first
went 92 yards.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the second one is 84 yards. The third one, 94 yards, like sustained.
Yeah, their punter was pinning us deep. It didn't matter.
Yeah, sustained systematic drives with sprinklings of run, pass, screen. Like, you were able to pick and choose what you want and basically do what you want and to completely keep a team off balance. But just being able to, just march down the field and you do anything you wanted was just really fun to watch.
The Chiefs offense, when the starters were in the game, 5 drives.
Yeah.
Touchdown, 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 field goal, benched.
Yeah. 5 drives. Yeah. All it took was 5 drives for Mahomes throughout the whole game. That's kind of the craziest part to me, is the fact that the time of possession game, the thing that we always talk about the Chiefs having to deal with, that was always the recipe, right?
It doesn't really matter
to win the time of possession game. Chiefs won the time of possession game like crazy. We've had 42 minutes of possession of that game. The Raiders had 17, almost 18 minutes of it. Like, as you think about, like, this is a little bit different. You're playing a really bad team who you're not necessarily scared of their offense, but that's how you want to play, like, even good teams. Like, you have these long sustained drives where it's not, having drives that are like a couple big chunk plays and you score real quick, they're great. But this is how you defeat really good teams, is you control the time possession game. You just slowly run down the field. You get maybe a couple 10, 15-yard passes, but it's just short stuff. You're getting, second, third down, convert, and then, all of a sudden 8-9 minutes are off the clock and you score. And now the opposing team just does not have enough drives to kind of keep up with you anymore. So the fact that they were almost able to control even more of that, if they would have kept their starters in, they probably would have had 6-7 drives like for the whole thing. Like, it's just crazy that
they could have set records for how little the Raiders touched the ball if Andy would have left the offense in the game for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
like legitimately. The Chiefs had 152 yards rushing. Pacheco had 57. Rashard Smith had 39. Most of that in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick had 28. Kareem Hunt had 18. Xavier Worthy had 13. They actually probably would have had more, but Gardner Minshew cost him 3 yards because he had to kneel down before the 2-minute warning. Yeah, while they still had 3 timeouts.
Still had timeouts. They said, we're not even.
And Pete Carroll was like, nah, dog, we're good. Let's go home.
Yeah. That's a good mutual understanding there. Like, yeah, we got our ass kicked. Let's just get out of here.
I don't know if I've ever seen somebody taking these with beyond the 2-minute warning with full timeouts and no one.
No, that's unprecedented.
The first kneel happened at 2:36.
Yeah.
On the game clock.
It's crazy.
2:36.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna get into the team stats and the snap counts when we talk about the defense, but the offense ran 77 plays. This isn't college, ladies and gentlemen. An NFL offense that played their regular players for less than 3 quarters ran 77 plays for 400 and they had almost as many drives with the backups as they did the starters. The starters played 5 drives, the backups played 4.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. So, offense, hats off to you. You did exactly what you needed to do. All the playmakers stepped up. Having Rashee Rice back in the offense now, everybody's going to eat, and it's going to just continue with that throughout the next week. And they're still ramping them up. They were even like, yeah, we're just ramping Rashee up. This is just kind of a light little sampling, 2 touchdowns, couple catches. It's going to get a lot more extreme. Now, it's going to be tough, once again, if you're a fantasy player, to predict who's necessarily going to be eaten every week, but as a Chiefs fan, and I think all the Chiefs players can agree, it doesn't matter if you get 1 catch or if you get 7 catches. You're going to be a contributor, and you're going to help the team win. That's all that matters,
This group, that motto, that everybody got to eat motto that I know has spun off into its own thing at this point from when Rashee did that with his when he mentioned it in the press. I think it was a news clip when he was out doing a charity working. Pranav, my guy Pranav is the one that helped spin that out into existence and had it blow up into the way it is. But now everybody's using it. But they legitimately mean that. That group has been itching to play together. The big three of that group have been itching to play together since 2022 when Hollywood got hurt, or 23 when Hollywood got hurt right after they signed him.
24 Hollywood got hurt last year.
24.
Yeah.
Last year in the preseason. Ever since they brought him in, ever since they all got to work together in the offseason, those three have been itching to play together. They don't care who goes on any given day. Not a single one of them cares as long as it works.
Yeah.
And they are, like I said, the different levels of which they can challenge a defense with that group, and then also sprinkling in the other ones that have specific skill sets. It's a nightmare for fantasy football players, prop bettors, and defensive coordinators, but it's a dream for the offense.
Yeah.
Dream.
Exactly. So let's talk about the other side of the ball, the defense, who was arguably even more impressive, like we've mentioned multiple times, holding the Raiders to historically low numbers, just absolutely limited. I mean, listen, we figured that the Raiders would be bad. You know, me and Tom were not very critical. We were not very we weren't very afraid of the Geno Smith-led Raiders, but even we couldn't have predicted that poor of a performance from them.
No,
and
it was
a lot of it comes from defense being very good.
Really weird to
Tom
watch.
was the one that tried to say they were going to score 24 points, and I specifically said, "Are you sure Geno Smith's offense is going to score 24 points?" How's zero?
Sometimes Tom is a clear case CTE case, but
yeah, Tom gets more crazy.
With the juju takes and everything else from the beginning of the year, like
guys. We have to go through these because yes, the Raiders aren't good, and yes, Geno Smith has been bad this year. He didn't turn the ball over, which has been his problem most of the season.
Right. I mean, Geno's not a complete scrub. Like
but they didn't turn the ball over. Really, they had one fumble.
He's decent, but
they had one fumble. Guys, they had 3 first downs,
and one of those came off penalties. So they legit offensively had 2 first downs, 2 rushing first downs.
Yeah. Their longest drive, I think, was 15 yards. They ran 30 plays. The Chiefs had more points than they ran plays, and the Chiefs had the same amount of first downs as they ran plays.
Yeah, Geno Smith.
They gave up 95 yards.
Yeah, Geno Smith 10 for 16 through the air with 67 total yards. Ashton Genty 6 carries, 21 yards total. I mean, it's just nothing. Just absolutely nothing.
They gave up 95 total yards on 10 total
Raiders
drives.
had absolutely no answer or solution for anything offensively. I mean, they just had, and not even. I mean, the Chiefs defense, like they were playing pretty good, but it's not like they were playing like extraordinarily good. Like they had a good pass rush. The pass rush was getting pressure on Geno, so that helped. The DBs were playing really good. Like Jalen Watson had a couple really good plays. Trent McDuffie had some quiet. Trent McDuffie, I mean, they don't even throw it at Trent McDuffie anymore. He's starting to get the Marcus Peters treatment where it's like, all right, we're not even throwing to the side of the field that 22 is on. Like it's just whoever he's on. Sorry, you're not getting the ball this game. So Geno obviously recognized that. He had. Trey Tucker had a couple yards, a couple catches that they were able to get some, little underneath stuff going against some linebacker coverage. But like overall, it's just they tried to run the ball a couple times and that got absolutely nowhere. And Geno was just super uncomfortable back in the pocket. Didn't really have a lot of open receivers to throw to. Didn't seem like they were necessarily scheming up guys to be super successful. They weren't really. They tried to run a couple screens, I think, but it wasn't really successful. Like they just offensively, they had no juice, and it's tough to do that when you're going up against a team like the Chiefs defense that's just, I mean, phenomenal and really talented and just only gets better as the season goes on. And now you're starting to hit them in there. And one of their peaks, you could say, is the defense is now really figuring it out. They just held the Lions to a really poor performance last week, and now, I mean, the Raiders just nothing, just an absolute nothing burger.
Right.
Now, to be fair to the Raiders offense, they are missing their best player in Brock Bowers and their best wide receiver in Jacoby Myers.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
That should not make you look like an offense that Randy's going to play in the playoffs in the high school playoffs here in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That was it was almost uncomfortable to watch. If it wasn't for them being the Raiders, I would have almost felt bad. Almost. Like it,
but we don't.
It was. They couldn't do anything at all. Jackson Powers Johnson, that poor kid is going to have night terrors of Chris Jones.
Guy has a family
for the rest of his life. The sack, he might as well have not even tried to touch Chris, because there was no delay from the time the ball was snapped to the time Chris Jones was behind him. Mm-hmm. I still don't know if he even realizes that Chris left the line of scrimmage by the time that he hit the quarterback.
No.
Yeah. Like, I'd have to go back and really watch. I don't know that Spags blitzed all that much.
Not a ton.
Not a lot. No.
That I was thinking about it, because that was one of the things I was trying to think about, because that game was such an ass whooping.
I think one of the biggest things that ever feel like was doing was just kind of disguising coverages, rotating guys a little bit, kind of as you see a random hand wave in the background.
Randy's like, my daughter's trying to say goodnight.
But yeah, that was the biggest thing. I feel like Spags, just the coverages that they were running and the mixes of personnel were kind of just the biggest thing that seemed to throw the Raiders off. But there really wasn't a ton of blitzes. I mean,
and they didn't, like I said, and it just because it felt like I didn't ever get to watch much of the offense play, which I guess is what happens when you only have 30 snaps in a 60-minute game. It just felt like I just couldn't remember. I was sitting there and I was like, did they blitz? I don't feel like they blitzed. Did they? What happened? And they just mauled them.
Yeah.
I mean,
at every level.
Look. Okay. The snap counts are something of extreme interest here, especially the offense is whatever.
I was just looking.
The offense is whatever because they dominated the whole game. Like there was just so many. It did not matter. But your highest snap count for the defense, most number of plays for one defensive player, 26.
Yeah, that was Shamari, right?
Yeah. It was nice to see Noel Williams out there for the majority of the defensive snaps as well.
Yeah, Noah's firmly cemented himself as a starting corner, which is part of the reason why Christian Fulton has just still been a healthy scratch for these past 2 weeks, which a lot of people are getting a little up in arms about. Which yeah, you said what?
I'm still not so 100% sold on how fully healthy he is.
Well, that's to be fair. The Christian Fulton situation, to me, I just feel like it's one of those things where like they're fine with letting him just rest more. It's like it's one of those situations where you don't necessarily need him right now.
We don't need you in October. It's okay.
Yeah, and we've seen how a loss of a cornerback in midseason can really hurt the Chiefs. It hurt them last year when Jalen Watson went down. So to have that guy who's obviously a little injury prone, so maybe you just don't run him out there as much and save him for when you really need him. Meanwhile, the guy who you drafted to play that spot is playing really well. So you don't necessarily need him to be active and out there. Obviously, it'd be ideal, but they've figured out their secondary rotation at this point. So I don't think, barring injury, I feel like it's going to be like this for a little while.
But like George played 19 snaps, guys. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if you can give some of these guys a full game check.
Yeah,
there is 19 snaps for George. Christopher Roland Wallace played almost as many snaps as George Karlaftis. Okay,
same with Jelani.
Jaden Hicks played more snaps than George. So did Charles Omenihu. Like, Jack Cochran had 10 linebacker snaps. 10.
The funny thing too about
the last time you saw
is the fact that the Chiefs the Chiefs pulled their starters on both sides of the ball at the end of the third quarter. There was still like a drive or two that the Raiders starters were in and the backups for the Chiefs defense were in, and they still weren't doing anything. And then the first play that the Raiders pulled their starters, Kenny Pickett comes in and fumbles the snap, and then that's a turnover. So I don't know.
Is it bad that when Kenny Pickett was in, I asked what backup wide receiver that the quarterbacks were playing at quarterback in the group chat? Because I legitimately thought it was a backup wide receiver. I didn't realize it was Kenny Pickett. Yeah. And then when everybody was like, oh, it's Kenny Pickett, I said, oh, that makes more sense as to why he fumbled the ball immediately.
Yeah.
I understand now.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
Josh Williams had 10 snaps, guys. Jeffrey Bassa
Good
had
garbage time
9
in
and
there.
technically played 26% of the snaps that the Raiders had on offense. 9 plays was 26%. That's not good if you're the Raiders. That's very bad.
Yeah, it's
very
historically
bad.
though. I mean, we just haven't seen this type of ass whooping for forever. I mean, you just never see this type of stuff. Even at the worst of offensive performances you'll see in the NFL these days, it's more than that. I mean, they're doing more than that at least.
That was what, and I'm trying to remember who described it this way. I can't remember if it was Verderam over with Tuck on their show on KCSN or who it was, but the description was that was a Division I team that played a bye game where it's some D2 or D3 school that knows they're coming in to collect a check and get stomped, except it's in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah, I saw
like that's not supposed to happen.
It really did felt like a preseason game at a certain point. I mean, noon kickoff. It's like, okay,
this is in the middle of October.
Yeah. It's like, what month?
That's not supposed to happen in the NFL. No matter how bad you are, you're not supposed to get absolutely mauled like that.
Kind of funny.
That was a statement.
Our line coach was like, he literally was basically saying the same thing. He's like, are the Raiders really that bad, or the Chiefs really that good, or did the Chiefs hire some scrub team to come in and look like the Raiders?
Bring the replacements
back on track. I was like, it could be all of the above right now. I don't know.
I was gonna say the first two is yes. The third one is impossible.
I mean, as impressive as the performance, Chiefs obviously super impressive. Regardless, the Raiders are just such a bad team. I mean, we do have to the penalty thing, which didn't really get talked about, obviously, because it's just when a one-sided thing like this, you don't really ever hear about the penalties. But there's a couple, a lot of penalties against the Raiders in the Chiefs' favor. All of them were legit, and all of them were just a product of the Raiders being bad. Like, that's just sometimes some people don't realize, like, bad teams commit penalties.
Atrociously bad either. I mean, it was the Raiders had 8 penalties for 50-some yards or something
8
like
for
that.
58.
There's a lot of just bad.
5 accepted penalties on the game, so
yeah, it's like there's bad teams commit penalties. That's kind of this.
Guess who else wanted to go home? The officials wanted to go home too, so the flags disappeared about halfway.
Blow your whistle and tuck your flag a little deeper.
Yeah. Don't reach for that. I don't need. Yeah. We don't need to be in here any longer. I have an episode. I have an episode of the TV show I'm watching. I'd like to get to. Can we get the hell out of here, please? Like, you don't get many broadcasts with Tony Romo and Jim Nantz where they could do a weather forecast in the middle of the third quarter of a game, and everybody would be like, no, that's more interesting than what we're watching. That was as complete of an ass beating that you're going to see in an NFL game.
Yeah.
That was a statement to the AFC West and to the rest of the league. Part of it was about the offense, but the way that the defense played felt a lot like a statement about what happened against the Chargers earlier this year and how that wasn't going to be a thing going forward.
Yeah, the defense is back.
And they just made an example of Geno Smith. And Geno seems like a grade A human. He's been in some really unfortunate circumstances. I think he was in another case of wrong place, wrong time, where he got turned into the punching bag
for a team that
was looking to make an example out of somebody, and they picked him and Pete Carroll and the Raiders to do so. And I think you could hear it in Andy's press conferences, because I think once or twice he said he felt sorry for Pete.
Yeah, it was interesting. And after the game, they went up to each other and they had a little bit of an extended conversation. I almost just from reading lips, and almost like Andy was saying, "Hey, like, sorry about this, man. I really didn't try to, these last
We're
quarter and a half,
all
we
aware
really tried to
didn't
just.
try to run up the score or do anything after.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that you might be different than Raiders teams in the past, where where Andy's like, a lot of respect for Pete and what they got going on over there, and it's just like, yeah, we don't need to embarrass these guys more than we already have. We're just gonna run the ball literally every single play. We're gonna kneel down before the 2-minute warning. No disrespect.
I don't think
over it.
Bigger act of mercy in the NFL.
Yeah.
Dog. Gardner Minshew was playing in the third quarter.
To legit not throw a pass in the entire fourth quarter, and you have all your JV guys in, and you're just running the ball. You're doing about as basic can get, and it's just like, as a Raider hater to the core, like I'm like, pour it on, like put these dudes in the dirt. Like I want to see them be miserable. But
Andy were already dead. They were miserable.
Well, Andy's got a much bigger heart, and apparently he's a much better human being than I am, because I would have buried those guys.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Me and Tom,
or not, at least throwing the ball and trying to do a few more things. But I'm like,
that was an interesting thing that me and Tom talked about at the beginning of the Friday episode, was the fact that the rivalry between the two teams. It's definitely a lot more for the fans now at this point. I kind of was saying, like, there's not a lot of guys who are on the old Raiders teams that can kind of have that same kind of fire to beat the Chiefs. Like Max Crosby is kind of like the only guy who's been there for a good amount of years that might actually have like genuine hatred towards the Chiefs. Like everyone else, they're just trying to freaking win football. Like they're just trying to go out there and be competent. Like there's no really room for them to have like as we always say, like it's not a rivalry. It's so one-sided, like
exactly.
There's no rivalry.
It's rivalry when both teams are competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I get that to an extent, and it's definitely not Marty's Chiefs playing the Raiders, because Marty hated those dudes.
And it's also a little more
the other part of it
is, team. They don't have Antonio Pierce over there talking trash about they have the formula to beat Patrick Mahomes and stuff like that. Like Pete's just Pete Carroll's just trying to survive.
The funny part is the guy that drove the bus around the stadium then spent 6 days at Chiefs training camp a couple of years later and is now like, no, you don't want to deal with the Chiefs. They're really good.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the response to that. The response to that bus driving trip and the ass whooping they took in the games after that made John may have figured out, oh, Andy can still be a dick. Okay, cool. Don't want to mess with him. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't think they needed to pile it on anymore, because you could see that they were dead in the eyes at like just after halftime.
Yeah.
It was over.
It was pretty bad.
It was like the stick figure. Yeah, it's like the stick figure gif where the dude's standing there with the stick and he's poking the thing on the ground and he's like, do something.
Come on, do something.
There was nothing. There was nothing. Like Garrett mentioned it. You had 2 or 3 drives with the starters in for their offense playing against Jeff Bassa and Jack Cochran on defense.
Jerry Tillery and
they couldn't do squat. Like, it was complete, and I don't think Spags even touched his bag
Yeah, he just went on autopilot for that one.
They just kind of lined him up and said, "We're gonna play man. Can you beat it?" And I don't think you can.
They did not. No,
and they couldn't. So,
phenomenal showing both sides of the ball. Also, special teams. Special teams was good. Harrison Bucker didn't miss a kick.
Hey,
he had 5 kicks he had to make. Didn't miss one. That's good. That's good to see.
And he didn't. And he didn't screw up any kickoffs either. So
yeah.
Also,
actually, kind of interesting. It was kind of interesting. The kickoffs seemed like they was going back to we're just kicking it to the end zone. We don't care. I mean, in this game particularly, like it didn't really matter because the Raiders' offense did nothing. So I think that was their strategy. Like, we'll just kick it into the end zone. We're not trying to.
We can start them at
anymore.
We can start them at the 50, and they're not going to get anywhere. So it's fine.
Exactly. So we'll see how that approach changes with different teams. But that was nice to see. They're like, let's just cut out another random thing. Like just kick it out there. So
that was one of the things I forgot to read off on the team stats. The Las Vegas Raiders were 0 for 0 in the red zone in this game. They never got there.
Never even got there. Yeah,
I'd be curious to know how many plays they ran.
I don't remember them breaking.
I was getting ready to say I didn't look, but I would be curious to know how many of the 30 plays were run on the other side of the 50, because I gotta think it's less than a handful.
Yeah, I don't even remember if there were any, if all. Yeah, that was
about
as good as you can get.
I can probably look because the drive chart's only like 7 spots long. So
yeah, I saw someone
legitimately
on X said something about watching the all 22 of the Raiders offense, and it took them like 4 minutes and 30 seconds to watch the whole all 22 of their offense.
So they had 5 on the first drive that were in Chiefs territory. The deepest they got was the Chiefs 46.
Wow,
46. They got 4 yards in.
Yes, and then they took a 10-yard holding penalty and went back to their side of the midfield to then throw a 10-yard pass to punt from our side of the field. So one of the plays on that side of the field was a punt.
Okay, yeah, their punter did have a good day. That was good job on their punter.
They did not touch. Let's see, that's not
Matt also had
not on that drive.
Couple. I mean, Matt Araiza didn't punt until like halfway through the third quarter, but good showing from the punt god, as some might call them. So overall, I mean, just really good performance. There was one negative to come out of this game, which we should touch on now. Unfortunately, second rounder Omarr Norman-Lott went down with an injury during that game, got rolled up on, and then kind of got a dirty play on him by one of the Raiders.
Not kind of.
Pushes him again after the fact. He's already down grabbing his knee. So he got properly penalized for that. But yeah, unfortunately,
he better get fined for that.
I would bet that he probably does. Yeah, with Norman-Lott being injured, but unfortunately, yeah, ONL going down with a torn ACL off of that one, which will be effectively ending his rookie season after only playing 5 games, which is really unfortunate because he was having a pretty good showing early on when he was healthy and able to get out there. He did deal with a couple injury things early on this season, but when he was out there, he seemed to be a pretty good force next to Chris Jones, kind of learning the ropes and progressing as he goes. So that's really unfortunate to see such a young, kid kind of have to go through that and cut his rookie season short. And it's going to be big for the Chiefs to kind of figure out how to fill that void with them. The Chiefs are already kind of in the trade rumors for an edge rusher, defensive lineman. Now it seems like we're probably going to need 1, if not 2 guys to kind of bring in and add to that mix. Obviously, you still have Jerry Tillery and a couple other lesser guys. You have Derek Nottie and a couple guys that you can get snaps out of, and they've elevated a couple practice squad guys like Marlon Tui Pelotu and the Lions player. I forget the
Roderick Martin.
Yeah, Roderick Martin. Yeah, another guy. So they have a couple names on the practice squad, but it does seem like that's going to have to be a priority at the trade deadline for the Chiefs, is to potentially get some more D-line help with losing Omarr Norman-Lott. So that's very, very, very unfortunate to hear that this morning.
I wouldn't be overly surprised to see, another rookie get some more snaps, maybe inside Gelati with his explosiveness and his strength.
Good.
To maybe just a little stopgap while they try to either shop for someone or to figure out exactly what's going to happen there. But he's a guy who's stoutly built enough that he can handle a little bit of playing inside as well as sprinkling in, as defensive end reps as well. But yeah. They're definitely going to have to take a serious look at that now and really kind of comb through some of these bottom barrel teams to see if there's somebody we can snipe off their roster that might be able to come in and give us some valuable time, and hopefully it's a little bit more productive than, like the pre-show talk about Uche and stuff where that just didn't really work out. We need to find somebody who's actually going to come in and take some meaningful reps in a game. So
yeah, to give you final count, they had 3 total plays that were on the Chiefs side of the 50. They were all in the first drive. The defensive line conversation has changed from it's a need but not the be-all end-all if they don't add something to you absolutely have to find some help. You have to, whether whether it is one of the practice squad guys just showing out and really stepping up and being something that I don't think even necessarily the Chiefs thought they were going to be, because if they did, they wouldn't have had him on the practice squad with some of the individuals that are currently on the active roster that a certain company thinks is the worst in the entire position in the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it like that. I won't. Everybody knows. If you know, if you don't, you can find it really fast. There's got to be something, and the bonus part is there's some guys that have been here before that would probably do quite well in this system again, that aren't going to cost you a whole lot if you can go get them. Name like Colin Saunders comes to mind almost immediately.
Yeah.
For some interior help.
Get Bink back.
If Carolina wasn't doing so well, you could try to steal a couple of those guys that have run off over there under Mike Borgonzi's eyeballs. Although I think they paid Turk, so he'd be kind of hard to get a hold of with his contract.
Yeah. I'll tell you, if we have to give assets to get Mike Pennell back, I'm going to be a little pissed.
I'm going to be pissed. Especially because it's the Bengals.
I'll be happy to have Mike back because he will. I mean, that is good. And Chris Jones wants him back. He wants him back. I'm going to be pissed if we have to give up assets to get Mike back, though.
But it's the freaking Bengals. You should have never let it happen if that was where we were going to eventually end up. So, Colin Saunders is one for sure to keep your eye on of former Chiefs.
But didn't they trade for Saunders, or was he picked up after getting cut? I thought it was a trade.
The Jags traded for him. The Jags traded for him, but they haven't played him hardly at all.
Healthy and active, or a healthy scratch the past couple of weeks, I think. So
I'm sure Colin would like to probably play more. So if it comes down to if he can ask or put pressure, or they finally realize that they're not as good as we made them look on when we blew a game to them.
That loss, that one's going to bug me all season.
But it's also the AFC South, which we do at least one of those every year.
We drop one of those turds all the time, and I don't understand why.
It's something about that division that, for whatever reason, at least once during the regular season of a good year, they have to just absolutely lay an egg against one of those teams. At least they did it to the Jags, and maybe they'll actually show up and play the Colts, who actually look good for once.
Yeah.
So, but Colin Saunders, other couple of names. Calais Campbell may be 107, but he's still productive at 107.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get him cheaper, because I think he's still in Arizona and they're awful. Jalen Phillips, anything in Miami that's not quite literally tied down to the stadium should be up for trade or sale on their behalf.
I was telling Garrett before. I was like, super shocked and amazed that McDaniels was able to give a press conference. I thought for sure he was getting canned.
Yeah, there's probably going to be a fire sale over there pretty soon if I had to guess.
The ownership may even consider selling, since they can't seem to figure out how to operate a football franchise. I don't know. Maybe they should just sell everything. But that's a guy that fits that Spagsy mold. He's real long. He's real athletic on the edge. He can do a lot of the run stop stuff that they liked in Frank Clark, but he's much different build wise, I think, than Frank. The only apprehension I have there is, much like we talked about with Uche, is Spags just for whatever reason develops I don't like him, and then he gets buried in the bench for the rest of the year because he wasn't there in training camp, and they can't. I'm like, it's fine. He's talented. He'll be fine.
Yeah, we're talking about all these acquisitions and whatnot. The real acquisition is going to be Malik Herring is going to be active again. That's going to be our solution.
It's probably true. That's probably true. It's got to be. It's going to be some combination of Marlon Tuilapelotu and Malik Herring and Broderick Martin, and you're going to like it.
That's basically probably how this is going to go. What are you talking about? We got Malik Herring, bro. We're good. We don't need edge depth. Yeah.
And no shot at Malik, but there are some better defensive ends on some bad teams that you might be able to trade.
So we'll see. We'll see.
I'm trying to cycle through some of these, bottom of the barrel teams to see kind of if there's names out there.
Do me a favor. Go look and see what Washington has for their edges that are on their later ends of their contract.
Well, they ain't going to trade.
I'll tell you what.
Let's say one until after next week's game. But
well, that's fine, but they stink.
And they also just lost Dorrance Armstrong for the year with the knee injury. He was their best pass rusher. Well, so they might need all the pass rushers they can get over there.
Garrett, they stink.
Oh, I'm aware.
They got dog walked by the Cowboys, and they were getting bullied.
They only have 2 defensive.
They were getting.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, they were getting bullied before Jaden Daniels went down. They're not good.
Yeah, maybe I don't know what Javon Kinlaw's contract is looking at right now, or I know it's in Juzon Newton. We all loved him coming out of the draft 2 years ago. I wouldn't be upset at all to try to pull that guy, but
yeah, we still got 2 weeks to the trade deadline, so there's going to be another round or 2 of teams sucking, and then
they need overall interior play, and they need a little bit of pass rush from there for sure, and then they could definitely use edge depth. But I think the edge depth takes the back burner, and they have to focus on getting an interior player that can play 3 downs.
A guy like Juzon Newton would be an ideal fit because he's got that explosion to be a little bit more of that pass rush complement to Chris Jones, and he's a young guy that could learn from Chris. He's in his 2nd year of a 4-year rookie contract. I don't remember. Was he a third round? Did he slip third round? I don't remember. No, he's a 2nd round.
Second rounder. I think it was late second.
He's probably a guy they'll want to hold on to and try to build around.
36 in the 2nd round. So
yeah, the more likely candidate is probably going to be a more of a veteran guy around the 30 years old age, like maybe like a Malik Collins with the Browns or someone like that who can just kind of do some more dirty work for you. I mean, Mike Pennell would be the ideal candidate, but
hey. Here's a pipe dream for you. Maybe the Raiders decide that since Kansas City was so nice as to not take them out back and actually bury them under the ground, that when they start clearing out their entire roster because they need to completely restart that entire franchise from the ground up, they just send Mad Max to come hang out with Pat where he's wanted to for the last couple of years. Maybe. Who knows?
Also, speaking of...
That's a total pipe dream, kids.
Speaking of Raiders...
I don't know if
Christian Wilkins been... Anyone know what Christian Wilkins has been up to? I mean... Just saying.
I don't know, but I'd kick the tires on it at this point.
I mean, if he's healthy,
we're going to play them again.
If he's healthy, he is a really good player if he's healthy. So.
And we're going to play the Raiders one more time, and you saw what we did to them the first time. You're going to get to have all the fun you want if you just come hang out. So
yeah, that might be.
I don't know. Like I said, that's the thing to watch for me the next couple of weeks is what they do in the defensive line market. And my big thing is I don't want to. If we're going to give up capital, fine. But if you're going to need to be real controlled about what capital you're giving up, because if you're not getting a couple of years of control of a player, I don't want to see anything close to the 3rd round area.
Yeah,
like if there's not 2 years, if there's not 2 years of control, I don't want to see anything up above a 4th. Yeah. Like nothing.
How about somebody like, up in Minnesota, somebody like a Jonathan Allen or Javon Hargrave, they're in there 30, 32, both interior guys with some push.
Yeah, it's going to have to be to a team that sucks. So we'll just got a couple more weeks for him to shake that out. The trade deadline is, I believe, November 2nd. So we got two more weeks.
Titans have anything besides Jeff Simmons worth looking at? We'll see.
Titans suck. We'll dive into it more as the week goes on and as trade rumors continue to circulate and whatnot and teams float out guys. But that's all we got for you for this one. This is a good episode. Great win over the Raiders. Just really good performance that we'll hope to compound into next week versus Washington in Arrowhead once again. Going against Marcus Mariota-led Washington Commanders. So that'd be a little bit different. Obviously, like we just said, they kind of suck. But we'll get into it on the Friday episode and break it all down for you. But for now, that's all we got for you. We appreciate everyone for rocking with us. We appreciate, just everything that all the support and everything that you guys have shown for us. We've been having a good season so far. So be sure to check us out at Kingdom Says Pod, Facebook, X, Instagram. Check us out, YouTube, Kingdom Says over there, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts at, we will be on there. And we will see you guys on Friday for another Friday live edition of should be another fun one. Should be another good week, another good way, another good game to get the offense continue to roll and another hopefully good defensive performance and everything else in between. So with that, thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. And we will see you guys on the next episode of The Kingdom Says.